Jess from The Social Speechy. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time here, and welcome back if you have been here before. Either way, I'm so happy that you're here, and I am actually filming 2 videos today, so if you see this shirt more than once, I promise I do have other clothes. But I wanted to film both of these videos because they kind of go hand in hand. So the video that I'm filming first, the one you're watching, which I'm sure you know because of the title of the video, I wanted to have one video where I kind of share why I chose to pursue speech language pathology, because I feel like I've talked about it like little bits and in like a lot of my different videos, my vlogs, and even some of my sit down videos, like I've mentioned it, but I want to have one video where when people ask me like, how did you decide speech language pathology? I could be like, hey, here's a link, go watch the video. So here we go. Okay, so why did I choose speech language pathology? And then I'm gonna talk about like what I did before too, because I am 28. I'm not like a young student. I'm an older student. I'm not old, just an older student. Oh, we have a visitor. Hi, hello. So let's start with high school. Sit down, buddy. Good boy. When I was in high school, wow, this is distracting. Oh, this is my life, you guys. This is it, right here, right here. Okay, so when I was in high school, I thought that I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. Like, I was dead set on that, and I was like, yes, this is what I'm going to do. I worked with kids a lot in high school. I was in youth group at my church, and I worked a lot in the children's department at my church. So I knew that I really liked working with kids, and I was just like, yep, gonna be a teacher. Then I got to college, and I had to work when I was in college. My dad was like, if you move out, your bills move out with you. And I was like, oh dang. So I had to get a job. I had to work full time while I was in college pursuing my first bachelor's degree. So at the university I went to, you could not work full time and do any of the education programs because you were required, you were required to like go out and do practicums and clinicals and internships and things like, or not clinicals, but internships and things like that. And honestly, that just wasn't possible for me because I couldn't afford to not work. I didn't want to live off of student loans. So I was like, okay, plan B, I'm going to be an event planner, because everybody around me always told me that I was really organized, I was good at planning things, I paid attention to detail, and they were like, you know what, event planning, like you would rock at that. And when I was in high school, I actually worked for a venue that did like weddings and parties and stuff, and I was on the decor team. So I would go work on the weekends and just like set up weddings. And I was like, yeah, I like weddings, like I can do that, that's cool. So I changed my major in college to public relations, mass communications, and that was kind of like my plan. So I graduated high school in 2008, we'll start there. And then I started college right away in 2008 in the fall. And then I did graduate with my first bachelor's in 4 years. So in 2012, I graduated with my degree in mass communications, public relations specifically. After I graduated, I did an internship with an events company, and I hated it. I hated the hours. It wasn't for me. So I was like, okay, great. What the heck am I going to do with my life? So all of my friends, you should be picking up on a pattern here. I don't do this as much anymore, but when I was younger, I really, people's opinions were very important to me. So if someone said that I would be good at something or that I should do something, I would take that and run with it. And I would like convince myself that that was a good idea. So all that to say, I was very into fitness and working out when I was in college. I still am, but now it's a hobby, not a career. So everyone was like, oh, you should be a personal trainer. You're really good at that. And I was like, oh, you're right. Let me do that. So I became a certified personal trainer when I was 23. 23? Yeah. So I worked in an office job, like a desk job, for a few years after college, and then I was like, yo, this is not for me. So that's when I started my own personal training business. I got certified as a personal trainer through NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine. I did work at a local studio where I did one-on-one personal training, and I also taught some group classes. You okay, buddy? So I did that, and then I figured out that I wanted to work for myself. So I started my own online personal training business. I wrote ebooks, I had one-on-one online clients, I had an online gym where I would upload videos every week, and it was like a monthly subscription, and I was doing really well with it, but I was so unfulfilled. Like every August, like it never failed. Every year in August, like I would just feel this like void, like this emptiness in my heart, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And I knew what it was, but I would try to just be like, nope. I knew that I wanted to be working in a school, and like my heart would always, God bless you. My dog is very distracting, I'm sorry, but this is my life, so we're just gonna roll with it. So I knew why my heart was hurting every August, but like I said, I just kind of tried to push it down, and I was like, nope, you're doing great at this personal training thing, just keep on rolling. And I was having fun, but I just was not fulfilled. So I decided to go back to school, and I enrolled in a program. I live in Florida. I don't know how it is where you live, but I enrolled, it was called an EPI program, Educators Preparatory Institute. And it is a program that you enroll in if you have a bachelor's degree in something other than education and you want to be a public school teacher. So I did like the first 2 classes in the program, and after I spent my first class observing in a 2nd grade classroom at a public school. It was actually the school that I went to for elementary school, so that was really cool. But my like teacher who I was supervising, or not supervising, who I was observing, she was just like, she kind of scared me out of teaching, to be honest. She was like, are you really sure you want to do this? And I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, I want to do it on here, aren't I? And honestly, like, it just wasn't a good observation experience, I guess. She was a nice lady, very kind, but she kind of scared me away from teaching. Like I said, I was very moldable, like my mindset, like I wasn't sure about like who I was or what I wanted, so I listened too much to people's input. So she scared me away from teaching, and I was like, oh, forget this, I'm going back to personal training. So I dropped out of the program, went back to personal training, but again, every August when the new school years came around, my heart was just hurting because I knew that I wasn't doing what I was called to do. So I decided to, I was kind of just creeping around on Instagram, to be honest with you, and I came across a girl who I went to high school with. Her name is also Jessica, and I noticed that I always really liked what she was doing. Like, she had a few side hustles going, like she had an Etsy shop at the time, and like she's a very artsy person, and I always have looked up to her in that sense. And I was like, oh, I was just like looking at her profile, and it said SLP, and I was like, SLP, what is that? So I like started researching. Google, and I read so many articles, watched so many videos about what speech language pathology was. I was like, SLP, what is that? I had never even heard of it. So I like devoured all of that information, and then I was like, I'm gonna reach out to her and ask her if I can shadow her. So I did, and she let me shadow her, and you guys, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. Like, I feel like it pulls everything that I love from teaching and kind of gets rid of all this stuff that like isn't for me. Like, I love that as an SLP, I get to work with like small groups or one-on-one. And it's just, with teaching, I don't want to, like, I'm not passionate about like one subject that I would want to teach. And like, to be honest, I could care less about teaching like math and like social studies, and like, I don't know, I'm just not passionate about that kind of stuff. So while I wanted to be like an educator of some sort, I was just like, I don't know, like I didn't know. So whenever I found out that speech language pathology was a thing, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is what I want to do. So I shadowed her, and then I decided that that's what I wanted to do. So I went and I enrolled at the university that I got my first bachelor's degree at. I went ahead and got a second bachelor's degree there in Communication Sciences and Disorders, or CSD, because I knew from all my research that getting into grad school for speech language pathology was freaking hard, like competitive, and I knew that my GPA from my first bachelor's degree was garbage. It was not good. So I wanted to get a whole second bachelor's degree to really up my GPA. So I decided to go that route. Do you have to do that? Absolutely not. That's just what I chose to do. So I got my second bachelor's degree. I enrolled in 2015 is when I started working on my second bachelor's degree. I finished that in 2017, spring 2017, and then I started grad school for speech language pathology in fall 2017. It is now summer 2018, and I am just wrapping up my very first year of my graduate program. I have 2 years to go because I did choose to do a part-time 3-year program so that I could work while doing this. So that is kind of how I came into speech language pathology. My advice for you, if you're unsure, shadow anyone and everyone who will let you, because that's really what helped me decide to go with speech language pathology, to pursue it. It's what opened my eyes. It's what showed me what it was. I didn't even know what it was, you guys. And what I love about speech pathology is it's so diverse, but it's also like so niche. Like there's so many different ways you can go within the field, and clearly, if you have not picked up, I am a career bouncer. I don't like being stuck in one place. So I like that with speech language pathology, I can kind of bounce within one field. So I can work at a hospital, I can work at a school, I can work in home health, I can work at a private clinic, I can work with babies, I can work with geriatrics, I can work with adults, I can work at a school, like the options are like endless, it seems like. So speech language pathology is just perfect for me, and I would seriously, highly consider shadowing local SLPs if you can. That's really what helped me kind of like make my final decision, and I'm so extremely happy with my decision. I'm really passionate about this field. I love it. I am learning so much every single day, and I am never, ever bored. So that is how I came into pursuing speech language pathology. And then part 2 of this video, because I wanted to give you guys a little bit more than just my story. I wanted you to be able to leave with something. So what I want to do is give you guys 5 tips. I don't even know if you would call them tips, but just like 5 things to consider before going to grad school. Not even just for speech language pathology, but just going to grad school, period. So I'm going to talk about 5 things. I have my list in front of me here. So number 1, grad school is a very time consuming. Like, there is no doubt about it, especially if you're in a clinical program. Speech programs are typically clinical programs, and y'all, they take up a lot of dang time. So expect that when you start grad school. Number 2, grad school is really expensive. Okay, everyone's like, yeah, no duh, college is expensive. Like, it doesn't matter if you're getting your master's or, you know, your bachelor's, whatever, college is expensive. I'm not just talking tuition, you guys. I'm talking like, I didn't realize that I was gonna have to pay for so many background checks, for getting my fingerprints done, for getting shots, like vaccines, just different little things. I had to buy a name badge. I'm gonna have to buy scrubs for a few of my future practicums, like just stuff that you wouldn't think about, like that's just outside of like books and tuition, like all that stuff adds up. So just be prepared for that. Number 3, be prepared to cry a lot if you're a crier. I'm a crier. With that, I just mean expect to be overloaded. Like, your plate is going to be extremely full, especially if you're working full-time while in grad school, which I am. It is tough. I do cry a lot. It is finals week right now, and I haven't cried yet, you guys. It's a miracle. I almost did, but I haven't. But I have cried a lot. Being in grad school really pushes you, and it kind of shows you your limits, and yeah, it's tough, you guys. It's tough. So expect to maybe like experience some anxiety. Like I have never been as stressed out as when I am in grad school. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Number 4 is it necessary? Like, does your profession require you to get a master's degree? As a speech language pathology major, yes, I have to have a master's degree in order to be a practicing CCC SLP. So I am not just getting a master's for the heck of it. I actually need it. Are you going to make more money with a master's degree? I know some people just get a master's degree to get it. I've heard some people talk about like, oh, I don't really know what else to do now that I've graduated with my bachelor's, so I'm just gonna get a master's. And I'm like, don't do that. That's like not, don't just get one to get one. Like, get a master's degree with a purpose. That's basically what I'm trying to tell you here. And then the last thing, remember that it's a season. Always keep that at the front of your mind. I remind myself that weekly, if not daily, that grad school is not forever. Yes, you have to make a lot of social sacrifices. I don't see my family as much. I don't see my friends as much. I don't get to spend as much quality time with my husband as I would like to, because my homework and my classes have to come first right now, and that's okay. It's a season. It's not going to be like this forever, and it's just part of getting to where you want to be. So you have to be willing to put in the work. It's a short amount of time, and yes, it's an intense short amount of time, but you've got to be willing to put in the work, and just remember that it will be over. It's not forever. All right, you guys, so those are my 5 things to consider before starting grad school and how I came into becoming a speech language pathology major. I hope you found this video helpful. Please make sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. I should have waited to film this till after he was done mowing the lawn. What am I doing? What am I